Okay, so let's go. Now, what is PHP? What then is PHP? So PHP is a server-side programming language for web. So PHP is a back-end programming language. Now PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. So PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. So but it doesn't make sense because it's PHP. So before it used to be called Personal Homepage, but they changed it now to Hypertext Preprocessor. Now, so for this, I don't know if anybody. So we're going to be writing our codes on this Visual Studio Code. So this will be our ID. So what's an ID? ID is just an environment where you write code, basically. So I don't know if you've already gotten this ID. This just install it basically. It's free. So Visual Studio Code, basically, it's very free. It's open source, and this is XAMPP. Remember, I told you this will be our web server for now. But probably if we master PHP, we're not going to use XAMPP anymore. We're going to use Docker. The issues that Docker solves, basically. So if it runs on Docker, it runs on everywhere. But for now, we proceed to try to learn PHP. We'll just proceed. So I think this will be our. So let me just show you. So this is my example. I've actually not run XAMPP for a very long time, basically. So this is the way example. So you can load it on your system. If you have it there, like fine. This video is recorded, so you can always go back and look at it. Now remember I said for the XAMPP server, we'll be using just two tools, which is the Apache and the MySQL. These are the two tools that we'll be using for the XAMPP server. So for you to run PHP, you have to start this Apache, and then when we enter into MySQL, we'll be using MySQL. But let me just start both of them basically. So you see it's starting. Now, Apache. So when you see HTTPS is just like the secured of HTTP. Now, port 80 is your HTTP. Port 443 is your HTTPS. So if you have any other application that is using this port, it will be blocking this Apache from starting, just in case you have error. You have to go look for which. So sometimes Skype, if you have Skype in your system, it may use port 80 and may be stopping Apache from running. So you just have to make sure that you have to check if that port is on, shut it down, then start. So when you see port 80, it's HTTP. Port 443, sorry, it's HTTPS. Port 3306 is MySQL. Exactly. So these are the default ports. You can see this is port 3306, port 80, and port 446. Sorry, 443. Sorry. So let me also open my VS Code. So these are just very simple. So this for now, these are the two softwares that we're using for now. Probably for the next 4 weeks. So just take it easy step by step. So I'm to open a new file, and I'll call it PHP. Okay, let me open a text file. So let me save this file. You have a client-side scripting language. So what I mean client-side, I'm talking about front end. So anytime I say client-side, just know front end. When I say server-side, no back end. So if you have this client-side scripting language, you don't run it on the server. It will run, just double click on the file, it will run on your browser. You don't need to stress yourself. But once you have a client-side scripting language, it has to run on the server. It is compulsory. You get now. So it means that this file that we're going to create, we're going to save it on the server. So let me show you how to save it on the server. It's very simple. Don't stress yourself on the server. So this is it now. So I'm creating a new file. So let me file, save as. Now I'll look for and for Windows is a standard basically. So your XAMPP, when you install your XAMPP, is always saved in type C, your C drive. This is the XAMPP folder. It's always on its own on the C drive. Then inside this is your server file, htdocs. This is the server file. Then just create a folder here. So let's just put something here. So let's just say intro. So remember, C, XAMPP, htdocs. Create any folder here, and you are good. So I'm going to call this index.php, for example. Now, why is it index? So let me select my language. You see, this Visual Studio it's used to write multiple languages, but let me just select PHP basically. PHP is it. So now, so why did I call it index? So by default on your first file is called the index file. So when your server loads up, it looks for the index file. Whether it is index dot, because we're programming in PHP, the extension, definitely we know what's called extension. Extension is just like a the file type basically. So for PHP, it must end with .php. If it's HTML, it will be .html. If it's JavaScript, it will be .jx. If it's CSS, it will be .css. So for PHP, you name it whatever you want to name it, and it must end with .php, basically. Now, the first, when your server loads up and trying to load your application, it's going to look for the index.php file. If it sees it, then it's going to load up what is in there. So let me just save this here. So you can see, so this is my path: XAMPP, HTTP docs, intro, index.php file. This is my file. Remember, XAMPP is in XAMPP folder. Remember, we're using XAMPP. I'm saving in the XAMPP HTTP doc. Now this is intro, which is my project folder. So everything about this project will go into this intro file or intro folder. Then I'll have, but my text file will be index.php, because when my server loads up this folder on the server, it's going to look for this file as its starting point. Auto load. Okay, that's fine. So then how do I load? So how do I read it on the server? So if I go back to my server, now by default, when you are testing your server or when you are testing your application, you test on localhost. So just put it, as long as this is showing started and port 80 and port 443 is up, just type in localhost here. See, so you can see, so localhost takes me straight to my XAMPP. Now I want to load my folder which I'm working on. So I will replace the dashboard with the intro. So you can see this is my folder name. So I'll go back here, remove this intro, remove the dashboard, sorry, and put the intro in here. Now this is my index.php. This is my file, but it's blank. But this is my file that's loaded up. So, but if I put index.php here, it's the same thing as having blank here. Because by default, when the server reads this intro folder, it's going to look for the index.php file, which is the file part. So when you go to a site, index.php, so it means that what we've done, so what we've done is that we've set up our file on our server, on our local server. We've created our text file, which is index.php, which is, like you said, we've agreed that will be the file that the server will first of all load into. Now it's how to now develop on this index.php, how to build application on this index.php. Now, PHP file are not standalone file. So PHP works with HTML, basically. Remember I said PHP works with the front end. So let's get some default front end code. So we're going to use, let's just get the default front end code. Let me just use Bootstrap 5 basically. I get different front end code. So you can copy this. This is not, so let's just copy this and put it in here. And let me remove it. So this code I'm putting is just like a default front end. I'll explain what it does. Don't worry. I'll explain what I'm doing. So you can say, remember I told you guys that you don't cram everything. Everything is available online. You don't cram anything. Just understand the concept, basically. You can see. So let me explain what I've done. That I've copied this stuff. So every HTML file. So somebody asks if we'll touch front end. So let me just. So this is like a front end. Now, every file, every of your web browser has an HTML head section and a body section. So this is stuff now. This is your head section. So this is just a normal HTML file. It has the HTML tag. It has the head section. It has the body section. Now, on the head section, it has the title. So meaning that when you open a browser and you see something here, this stuff you are seeing here is the title. This stuff I'm seeing here is the title, and this stuff is coming from this point. Whatever is here will be the title. Now, this stuff I'm seeing, I'm linking to. So instead of me to write my CSS styling, I'm just linking to a Bootstrap online Bootstrap CDN styling. You get to make it very fast. Since we're going straight into backend. So I'm linking to a Bootstrap CSS styling. I'm linking to the Bootstrap JavaScript styling. So everything you can see JavaScript. So everything I've done here is not backend related. It's just getting a simple HTML page, basically. So instead of me typing, I just go copy and paste it. So this is just like a simple HTML page. So if I save this stuff now, for example, now watch this hello world here, and I refresh this, what we have here, and you can see this stuff has changed to hello world. So when you are browsing and you see something at the top, you know that that's the title of the page. Now when you see an icon, it's called favicon or fav icon. You get it. So you can also set that also to any icon you choose to. So now you're already building a web application. So this stuff that you're seeing here comes from this title, basically. I can remove this and it will still work. It doesn't matter. So I can remove this. So it doesn't change anything. Sorry, I can remove this. It doesn't change anything. And make this HTML. So just me getting a default standard HTML page to put in my PHP. If I save this now, reload this page. Sorry, it still work. Yeah, it still work. I still have my hello world, basically. Now, so let's proceed. PHP, remember, so PHP, the first file is called index.php. If you have whatever file you now create later on, it has to have the .php extension for the server to know it's a PHP file. Now, whatever we've done here, you can see is HTML. This is HTML, which is like a front end code. So this is HTML start, HTML end, header start, header end. So something about programming is that you open it, you will close it. You open it, you will close it. So you can see here, I open the HTML, I close the HTML with this backslash. I open the head tag, I close the head tag. I open the title tag, I close the title tag. I open the body, I close the body. Now all my code content will come inside the body tag. Now on this my body, how do I tell my server that I want to start PHP? How do I open and close PHP tag on this server? Now to open PHP is very simple. All you need to do is just put this will open the PHP. You can see suggestion. Remember, you don't cram anything. It has already given me a suggestion. Open PHP, close PHP. So if you're on the browser, this is your opening PHP tag. So to open PHP is angle $PHP. To close PHP is this to close it. Remember, if you open it, you will close it. Now, let's do something. If I open it and I don't close, it's going to bring an error. You get, so this is just how and you can put it anywhere in your code. You can put this stuff anywhere in your code. It's not, you can have multiple opening tag and closing tag. You are the developer, you know what you are building. You get, so but now to open it, it's going to be, this is your opening tag, this is closing tag. Now, as soon as the web server sees this stuff, whatever is inside here will be treated as a PHP programming language. You are trying to give the computer an instruction to perform. So it will not see it as a normal text file anymore. It's going to run the instruction that you ask it to do. Now, good is that when your server on any programming language, your server reads from, so you can see so this stuff is an ID for writing our code. Now your server reads from line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. It takes it line by line. It's reading the code and it's implementing the tags. So the server does not read zigzag. It reads from top to bottom. The only exception, but there will be an exception which I will show you guys later on, is when we're not calling function, adding dependency. But even at that, the server reads from line to line. That's why your ID is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, exactly. It reads up to down. So it means that this PHP code will be executed first before this next PHP session. Before the next PHP session, you get, it's not that this will be executed first, so it has to be line to line. Exactly. So what it means is that you may program something 3 months ago, and 3 months after, you have to go back to the application to do something. And you that program it, you would have forgotten what you were doing there. And you're like, what was I even trying to do at this point on line 10? I can't even remember. What was I trying to do? So one thing that you can do is writing comments on your code. So you can put comments on your code, like maybe on this line I was trying to do this, or on this line, just to keep you refreshed. So now to put comments on PHP, we have the single line comment and the multi-line comment. So for single line, just a 1-line comment basically. So this is a single line comment. So anything you put in here after this the web server will skip it. It's a comment. It will not process it. So this is a single line comment. So if I go back there, I put it in, anything I put in here. Remember, it has to be two backslashes. So all this stuff, as soon as the web server sees, it comes to line 10, it sees this, it leaves it. It says this is not for me. It goes to line 11, it sees it, it leaves it. Line 12, it sees it, it leaves it. Then in the process. So this is for you to document your code basically. You're trying to just add some comments, just in case of the future where you have to come back and try to say, what was I trying to do here? Have you forgotten? So for single line comments, it's always 2 backslashes. The server will skip it. For multi-line comments, it's going to be a slash and a star. And this is ending it, star and slash. So anything in here, the server will skip. Anything in here, the server will skip. So if I save this stuff and I try to refresh this page, it's going to be the same thing basically. But I've not processed any file. So the server will just skip it. You get it. But but the stuff is that if you have too many comments, so I'm just going to give you the syntax of the programming language. So when you have for single line comments, it's going to be slash slash. Whatever goes in the comments, the server will skip it. It's none of his business. It's for human documentation. For multi-line comments, it starts with this, and whatever ends, it doesn't matter, ends with this. So in between here, it's your human document. But using too many comments on your code also has little implications, or it's not too good. And I'll explain why. Because it makes your code messy. Then how then can we write clean code? I also look at how we can avoid using comments too much in our code, and how best that we can, even when you write a code and you hand it to the next developer, the developer understands clearly what you're trying to do. Yes. But meanwhile, understand it. But once in a while you will document, just once in a while. But the best option is, because industry standard is that you write clean code. Your code should be clean, sweet. If somebody is going through it, it's just like he's reading a book. He understands, oh, at this point he was trying to do this. Oh, at this point he was trying to do this. Then how can we achieve that? Remember, you're going to work with different programmers. When you get to the industry, you're going to work with different programmers. You work on a project today, they'll post on that project. So you're going to work with different developers. So, but get this, but it's very clear to get. So comment is, single line is 2 backslash, multiple line is this. Yes, that's fine. So your server will just skip it out. Now let's now go to variables. Now variables. What are variables in PHP? Everything in PHP starts from variables. So what are variables? So if I have let's say I have okay, I buy a Pepsi. If probably one liter Pepsi. I'm just trying to break this down to a very layman language. I buy a 1 liter Pepsi and I drink the Pepsi. Now, so I finish the Pepsi. The bottle is empty, and I put in water inside the Pepsi bottle. So what is the contents inside currently now? I will need some feedback. So I get a Pepsi bottle. I drink the Pepsi bottle. It's empty. I turn in water into it. Because this application I'm giving now, it will make you, even when you sleep, you understand what the variable means, what the variable does. Okay, somebody just said, okay, let me see. Okay, good. It's water inside. Good, that's fine. So the content can be anything, irrespective of the bottle. We agree now. Tomorrow I could use that same bottle to put in kerosene. I could use that same bottle to buy fuel. You get, so the content is changing, but the bottle remains the same. This concept I'm trying to tie it to a variable. What is a variable? A variable in programming language, it's not the beauty of programming language. When you see variable, even when you go to Python or other language, you're going to see the similar terms basically. So a variable is just a placeholder for a value. The value can change. The value does not concern you. The variable just helps you hold the value. And even the variable today can hold B, tomorrow it can hold C. It does not concern you at all. You get. So how do we then declare a variable in PHP? Now a variable in PHP must start with a $sign. You can see this is the good thing about having an ID. It gives you suggestions. Don't worry, we're going to go through all these suggestions. I'm going to look at what all these things mean. Just relax. So a variable in PHP starts with a $sign. As soon as your server sees, as soon as your server sees this $sign, it knows at this point you are trying to declare a variable. Now, a variable starts with $sign followed by a name of your choice. I think there's a rule. Starts a variable with $sign followed by any meaningful name. Now, because we're trying to avoid having too many comments on our code, one rule of writing clean code is that your variable must be clearly defined, easy to understand. Now, let me give you an example of a bad variable. I name variable A is equals to let's say Arsenal. I'm an Arsenal fan anyway. Don't mind me. then I name this. Now, looking at these two variables, which one is easy to, you are coming to my code. You've not seen this my code before. Let's say you are working on a share code. You just employed to a company, and they're like saying, okay, go through this code base and see there's a bug. Now, looking at this variable and this variable, they mean the same thing. They're holding. Okay, let me show you. Now, this variable, this is the variable. This is the variable. This is the value the variable is holding. This is the value the variable is holding. Then the equals to is called an assignment operator. So you are assigning the variable on the left to the value on the right. So that's what this stuff just means. It means that I'm assigning variable A to Arsenal. Now, looking at these two variables now, one is variable A, one is my football club. Which is more meaningful? Like, if you're looking at this code, one is A is equals to Arsenal, and the other one is saying my football club is equals to Arsenal. So you understand that my football club is equals to Arsenal makes more sense. It means that, oh, this guy is trying to say, okay, my football club is Arsenal. So what I'm trying to say is that your variable naming must be descriptive. So that's one rule of writing clean code. We're going to cover also writing clean code. So if you're trying to name your variables, make them very clear and descriptive as much as possible. And start with your first word should be mine. So this stuff now, I'm combining three words together. My football club. Now my first mine should be a small letter. The M should be a small letter. The next words, start them in capital so that it will be easy to read. You can see. So for example, this and this. So let me show you this also. If I make this is equals to football, you can see this is easy to read than this, because I just pick the first letter is a small letter, then every capital letter means a new word you are putting into it. So I can just say, oh, this is my football club. Then this, I may not understand this on time yet. And A does not mean anything. A is A equals to Arsenal does not really make sense. So one rule is that always make sure that your variables are well defined, because remember, when you're writing code, it's not just for you, you're writing for the next man. And in the end of this stuff, we're going to do a collaborative project. So we're going to work together to achieve something together. So when you're naming the variable, always make it descriptive as much as you can. Yes. So I say, for example, I could say user first name. It's equals to, this makes sense. User password. This makes sense. So somebody comes and says, oh, at this point, we were trying to define a user first name. At this point, or user ID. Okay, this makes sense. So for variables, it must start with a $sign. You can see, even if you put a $sign on your ID, that's VS Code, you just bring out. So all this stuff you are bringing out are just PHP defined variables that we'll use later. But now we're trying to declare our own variable. So a variable on the left must be equals to the value on the right. Now, there are basically 6 types of data type in PHP. Let me just run through it. Then the first one is a string. So if you understand this concept, you begin to enjoy programming language. So let me show you what the string does. So a string. The first one is a string. Now what's a string? Just like your normal A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. That's a string. Just anything. Now for for PHP and most programming language, a string must be in quotes. So you can see if you put Arsenal like this without a quote, there's an error. Let me show you an error. If I save this stuff now and I put it on my browser, see it's an error. It said uncut error, undefined constant Arsenal on line 22. The reason why I love coding is that it tells you where the error is straight up. It tells you there's an error on line 22. You don't interest yourself, so just go to line 22 and look for what's the error. So what's the error is that at this point, it's trying to see Arsenal as a constant, and you cannot assign a constant to a variable. It's wrong. So for string, it has to be in quotes. It's a must. It has to be in quotes. Now, a string can be in, so let me show you something. So let me just revise my display in. So let me just show you. So just to show, so this is my flex variable. So when you are reading your code and you see this $sign, don't, so you just know it's a variable that declaring here. It's a variable. This guy is trying to declare a variable to hold. So the variable on the left is holding the value on the right. That's just it. Now, and because the value on the right has a quote, it means that data type is called a string. It's a string is holding. Now, the quote can be either single quotes or double quotes. It is fine. But I would say stick with double quotes, because going forward, we'll see the advantages of double quotes over single quotes. But it is fine. Single quote is fine. Double quote is fine. Remember, if you open the quotes, you must close the quote. If I open this quote and I don't close it, it's going to be an error. You can see other quotes are turned red. You get, so if you open it, you must close it. Now, every line in PHP must have it end with a semicolon. If I don't end this line in a semicolon, it's going to be an error. So if I refresh this stuff and try to refresh it, it's saying, okay, my best player, okay, it says start error my best player, okay, in quotes. Because why? I didn't end this thing in semicolon. So let me go back here. I refresh this. Oh, sorry. Let me pause it. You can see that it's appeared. So I told you, they don't cram programming language, just know the rules basically. So we've said a variable will start with a $sign, a US $sign. A variable can hold a string. For now, we've done a string, and the string must be in quotes. Single quote is fine, double quote is fine. You open the quotes, you end the quotes. But I'll prefer you just stick with double quotes, because later on I'll tell you the advantages of double quotes over single quotes. Every line in PHP must end with a semicolon. So if not in the semicolon, it will flag an error. So that's what we've done so far. Now, another data type is that a variable can also hold a number. So this is for strings. So let me put this as string. So this is a string. This is a string variable type. Now, a variable, then these are comments. So let me just try to. So this is single line comments. So single line comments. So just in case anyone writes a single line comments. This is multi-line comments. Then this is a variable type. Now, a variable can also hold a number. Now, when a variable holds a number, that data type is called an integer data type. Okay, now good. So I could put user account balance. Because I'm trying to make the variable name as explanatory as possible. Yeah, user account balance is equals to 10. Now, this is a variable holding an integer value. So this is integer data type. Yes. Now, a variable can also hold a decimal number also. Remember I told you 6, we'll get there. So string is just normal, your normal maths and English. So string, quote, integer without fraction, like without decimal point. Then float or decimal number is like fraction. So I could say variable pi is equals to 3.142. So this is like a floating, so it's called a floating, or it's or a double, or a decimal. So when you see this is at the same thing, basically data type. Yes. So this is without string, sorry, without decimal numbers, integer. When it has decimal number, remember I must end it with a semicolon. When you have a number, it's called a float, double, or decimal. Good. The next one is called a boolean. So when we say boolean, it's just very simple. It's just true or false. So when you see boolean, it's called true or false. So boolean data type. So boolean data type. So I could put, so I'm trying to give you a real scenario where you can use this stuff. So is user logged in equals to false. You get. So this is a boolean data type. And a boolean data type can only hold true or false. It doesn't have any other value. True or false. You get. So we've gotten 4 now. So it's remaining 2. So the next one is a null data type. So let me show you the null data type. So null. Yeah, so this is null data type. And we'll use this very well. Like it's very important. And I'll show you where we can use this also. So null data type, which is, let me see, okay, good. Let me just see what we get this. Okay, good. So let me see. So has user made posts. Now let me show you what the null does. Now, let's say I'm building an app that checks if a user has made a post. So let's say that app I'm building, I just want the user to make 1 post per comment, or sorry, 1 comment per post. So I don't want multiple comments for a particular user. I'm building an app and I just want, so I'm not saying, okay, check this variable checks if this user has made a post. Now a null data type is that the variable exists, but it is empty. It exists, but it is empty. So this is like you just creating an empty variable, basically. You get. So yes, this variable exists, but it's holding an empty value. So when you see null, you're like using none is empty. But we're going to use this empty. We're going to use it very much in Symfony. We're going to very useful in Symfony. Then the last one is called an array. So an array data type. So that is the last one. Then we'll begin to print out this data type on our browser. Then we'll begin to see it. We'll see them. So what's an array? Now remember, a variable can only hold 1 value. If you look at something I've done here now, is that all these variables are holding just 1 value. My football club Arsenal, 1 value. 1 data type, 1 value Arsenal. My best player Messi, still the same thing. My user account balance. Let's say you are building an app for a bank. User account balance is 10. The same thing. You are building a mathematical application, 3.142. User logged in first. These are 1 value. But an array is an exception to it. An array is a variable that can hold multiple values. So this is an exception to it. So an array is a variable that can hold multiple values. So let me give an instance of an array. So let me say you are building an application that can hold accepted cities. So I can put user accepted cities, and I'll say, so how do we declare an array? An array starts with this. Open the bracket, close the bracket, then load in any information you're putting in there, and separate every information with a comma. So okay, user accepted cities. This comma I could put Lagos, Edo, Delta, and Ondo. So what it means is that these are the cities that will accept users from. For example, I'm just going to say, for example, I want to declare so when I need a variable that to hold multiple values, I will use an array. When you are reading data from a database, it always comes in an array format because your database has a rows and column arrangement. So it's always been an array format. But each of this stuff, we're going to look into it deeply, very deeply, because array and lots of things we'll learn here. We'll look at how to get the first value, how to get values in an array and everything. But we're just turning through a data type of. So these are the 6 data types in PHP. So this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then the last one, an object. So this object is when we're doing object-oriented programming. All programming language that have OOP. So these are the default the data type. But the object is you now creating your own object. So let me give you an example. I'm creating an app. Let's say I'm creating a what do you call this thing that they used to play music? iTunes, where they play music from now? You stream a music streaming application. You can stream music from. Now, I want to create an object because definitely this stuff doesn't fit what I'm programming. It doesn't fit my class. Now I want to create a music object. So let me show you how I can do it. Like I said, this stuff is just to show you. We'll come down. When I get there, I'll show you how to do it. The first thing I will do to create an object is to have a class. So let me show you something. I will say class. PHP will give you suggestion. Class music. Then I will load all my properties into this music. I will load everything into this music, and I'll create an object from this property saying Chief maybe Wizkid songs, or let's say Davido. So Davido latest hit. Just say something. Latest hit is equals to new music. So this is now. So now on this music, what would Davido song have? Probably to have like let's say private, or let me keep public. All those things I'll explain it later. I'm just going to show you this type. Public song. The song will have a song name basically. So I'll put public string, song name. Is equals to the song is even popular. So I forgot to. There's an OBO. Then I'll put public string and length of song. Song length is equals to maybe 3 minutes, 3:15. Then I will list all the properties of this music. For example, I'm just going to show you an object. So an object comes from a class. So you'll be the one to define the class based on your specification, what you want. It's not PHP that will do that for you. So you will list. So that's what we call object-oriented programming. It is what, if you're going to the industry of IT or programming, you must learn object-oriented programming. But we'll start from procedural programming, then we'll migrate to object-oriented programming. On for object-oriented programming, you have a class that has all the properties of the objects you are intending to create. So for example, I'm building an application for Toyota. I will have a class called car, and inside that class called car, I have like a property called car name, car type, car model, car name of manufacturer. Now, in object-oriented programming, let me just stop it so that I don't begin to bring those things that far. Now, in object-oriented programming, variables are called properties. So this is I'm calling variables here. When we get to OOP, it's still the same $sign, but to change to properties. But let's leave it here. So for now, just now there's the last one called object, but let's not go in there for now. But we'll have to go in there later because that's what the industry uses basically. So, but for normal procedural programming, you have the string, the integer, the float, the boolean, true or false, the null, which is empty, and the array. Now, how do we now see these variables that we've declared on our browser? Because that's what we want to see. We want to see this stuff on our browser. So let me refresh this browser, and it's still showing empty. So how do we show this on our browser? Now, to display on your browser, the code to display on my browser is called echo. So you can see PHP just gives you echo already. Sorry, I said PHP, the ID gives you echo. Now this echo is, whenever you want to output anything on your browser, use the echo command. Get. So if I put echo, you can see, because the ID has discovered that I have declared a variable called my football name, it gives me the suggestion automatically. So if I put this, and remember, you must end it with a semicolon. So I put this. So if I load this on my browser, I should see Arsenal. Let me just close this page basically, so I don't keep on opening it. So on the browser, so you can see Arsenal on my browser. If I load, if I put in my best player here, I should see on my browser Messi. So let's just go through. If I put in my account balance, I should see 10, basically 10. If I put in pi, I should see 3.142. If I put in it's logged in, I should see false, or maybe it's empty. Yeah, false is empty. But if I put in, let me change it to true. I think true should give me either true or 1. Let's just see. Yeah, 1. So it's 0. It's 0 for false, 1 for true, basically. Then if I upload in none will be empty also. It's gonna be empty. It's gonna be empty. You see. Then if I load in array, it's gonna bring out an error. It's gonna bring out an error. Let's see, echo error bar. Because why? You can't convert an array to a string. So how then can we not display an array? It's an echo statement. It's very simple. No worries. Now for an array, the first element of an array is 0. So this is 0. This is 0. This is 0 position. This is the 1. This is the 2. This is the 3. So if I want to bring out undo, I just need to put this in 3. That's all. Just to give me undo here. Refresh it, undo. If I want a do, I make it position. If I want a do, I make it position 2. So it counts. Remember, the first one is 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'm calling this an array and give me the second position of an array, starting from the first value 0 to the second. So if I do this, it's going to give me data. Yes. But for array, we're going to go deep into array, because array is something that it's, in fact, you have to understand array. Now, this array we're doing now, it's just a single dimension array. There's a multi-dimension array. And the thing about array is that array can hold multiple values, multiple data types. So I could add 2 here. I could add 2.14 in here. I could add plus in here. I could add none in here. So inside this array, data type of array does not matter. So if I say this is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So give me array 5. I should be expecting 2.09. So this is 2.09 basically. Now, you may now want to do something called concatenation. So forget those big grammars. It's just a simple way. Concatenation is just you joining words together. So let's say, I don't know, so this is, so if I say echo BROT, so this, let me just, so if I say this echo BRO in here, so this BRO means, I just want to take it to the next line, basically, that's what it means. So this BRO is an HTML tag, it's not a PHP tag. So I'm just trying to call, so it goes to the next line. And let's say I want to put, my favorite club is Arsenal. Then how can I do this? So I can do it like this. So echo, in quotes, my favorite club is, now concatenation is just putting a dot, that's concatenation, and attaching it to the variables you want to call. So my football, and ending with a second column. So what will this do? It will be, so when the browser gets to, so this is stuff. Now when the browser gets to, sorry, not the browser, the web server gets to line 44, it's, oh, this is an array, and say this guy is asking for the 5th position of the array. So it gives 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It displays this. it gets to line 45, you say, oh, this guy is requesting for a new line. This is just a new line. Like, go to the next line. So this is it. Then it goes to this, say, okay, this guy is asking for my favorite club is. Then it goes and say this is a variable. Then it replaces this variable with Arsenal and displays it out for you in the browser. So let's refresh the browser. Let's see what will happen. So you can see my favorite club is Arsenal. You get, so if I come in here and I change it to Chelsea, for example, whatever is in that variable is going to display. It's Chelsea. Now remember the analogy I gave that said a variable is just a placeholder. It doesn't really matter what happened. So let's say at first, okay, somebody's asking a question. Sorry. Okay, that's fine. So imagine maybe early of this year, I was supporting Arsenal. I'm just trying to give you an analogy. It was very simple. And maybe later Arsenal was messing up, and I said no, I want to start supporting Man City. So let me show you a variable, something similar to I bought a Coke bottle. Let's say I bought a Pepsi. I drank the Pepsi, then I used that same bottle to buy fuel, something like that. So let's see. So remember, your program is reading from up to bottom. It gets to line 25. Variable here is Arsenal. My football club is Arsenal. It's fine. Then when it gets to line 38, I come here and say no. My football club no longer is now Manchester City. So let's go Manchester City. My football club is now Manchester City. Now, what will the system output? Arsenal or Manchester City? I'm asking the question now. Now, at first, on line 25 is Arsenal. And when it goes down, I said no. Now Arsenal is messing up. We've lost 2 titles in a row. Now I'm not supporting Man City. Now on this echo now, what will the system display here? Good. Man City. So let's see. Let's see. So Manchester City. You remember the analogy? Variables can change. Variables are not attached to anything. It's what you declare they will give. So if I maybe later again and I say, oh, Arsenal has signed Havertz and Havertz is not good, and I declare, okay, my variable, I've not gone back to Arsenal. And I said, oh, okay, now somebody's trying to get. I said, okay, it's fine. My variable now, it has gone back to Arsenal, and refresh it, then it go back to Arsenal. You get it? Now the opposite of variable is called constant. We'll get there. Variables can change, no emotion attached. As the system is reading it, it is replacing if you replace the variables. Constant, as soon as you declare, it cannot change. We also get there too. You still have to define the constant, and once it's declared, it doesn't change. So if you are looking for variables that can change, stick with variables. If you are looking for variables that cannot change, go with constant. Constant, once declared, if you try to change it, the system will flag error and say no, you cannot change it, basically. You get it? So I don't want to overload. I think we really done like, so let me just go through my okay. But I think, so first of all, is there any question first of all from what we've learned basically? There must be questions. So let's ask questions first. You can unmute. Please feel free to unmute and just ask.
Hello, Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the data types, the null data type, that scenario,
Yes.
Why can't someone use the Boolean data type, for example, as user made post? So why does it has to be the null data type? Okay. What influences that decision?
Okay, good. I like that. Okay, good. So because the truth is, the null data type and the null and false are almost the same thing because they give you empty. But let me tell you where you're going to need it going for Symfony. Now, in Symfony, there's what they call repository. So let me just give you a scenario. My repository is where you're trying to get a record from the database, basically. So you're going to see something like, let's say a user have gotten username. Let me just say username is equals to Kelly, for example. Kelly. Password is equals to 1, 2, 3. This as the password, for example. Then I'll send this password to my Symfony repository. To say Symfony, go to this my entity. In Symfony, a table is called entity. So go to this my entity and check for a record that has Kelly as username, password of 1, 2, 3. Now Symfony, what Symfony does is that when it's giving a response, it gives you two responses. Is it that it gives you the object of the user? Let me just either give you the object of the user, or it gives you a null value. So you see something like this. So it will be something like this. So when Symfony is giving a response, if you want me to show you, I could show you that also. It will be something like this. A null value. So this means that, don't worry, let me just show you guys. Just give me, let me open the Symfony project for you. So that you see, because that's why I say it's very, very important in Symfony, but let me just show you.
All right.
Let me open my PHP store. Yes, so I use PHP Storm in coding. But let me just show you where you will use. But PHP Storm is not free anyway, but yeah, it has some features, some advanced features, because it's strictly for PHP, so it's customized to PHP. But VS Code is also good, but yeah, because it covers multiple languages. So let me show you. Let me try to load the PHP Storm. So let me show you what Symfony does. I'm trying to load up. Okay. So this is it's still loading up. Okay, so this is the Symfony project. I'm just trying to create some applications in Symfony. So let me go to the repository I was saying. So this is the repository. So this is the repository. Now, if you look at this stuff, as I was saying, now when you understand, this repository is called category repository in Symfony, and is related to the category table in your database. So what Symfony does is that Symfony does mapping. So it maps your database table, and it gives you a repository that you can easily just run through some query. So let me show you a good query of this now. This is saying select everything from C represents category. So instead of rewriting my SQL query now, simply just make it very simple for you. Select everything from C, which is my category, where you put your parameters, order by, put your parameters, maximum result, put the number of results, query and get result. Check it out. So you don't need to stress yourself about thinking about SQL code, but we're also going to the SQL code. Now for this type of query, Symfony will give you an array in return, either an empty array or an array loaded. But for this query of either get one or null results, Symfony will give you either a category if it sees it, or it gives you a null value. This is a null value. You get, then when you get the return from Symfony, you have to now test if this is equal to null. Now let me now show you the difference. Let me show you the difference between a null value and a false value. So if, for example, I'm testing this now, I'm saying if what's this? What's the null? Okay, good. If shift has cloud is equals to null. So null. So though the system sees null and false as closely related, but they are not the same. So if I want to test explicitly if this is equals to null, I'll put this is, you are comparing, definitely just want to ask this question. We're going to go into this if statement and not this comparison. We're comparing this to this and say if it's equals to null, echo null. So let me run this on the browser. Let's see. So it's going to add null. This is null, it has said. But if I test this, which is false, if I make this false, and I put it here and say if its login is equals to null, it's going to fail. Or let me put an X. Echo. Not null. Let me comment out this also. And I put this You know, give me not. Okay, there's an error on line 57. Fine. Why? There's no semicolon. That's fine. So go back here. That's it. You're gonna do not null. So that's one. So there's a difference between none and false. That's number one. Another thing you can differentiate is that you can also test it if it's none. So I can use this is none. You can see this is none. So this is to check for a non-value place, as in like explicitly, you want to check if it's a non-value. And to bool, you put if it's bool. You get will definitely come here. So each of these values will test data type, because your program will run on data type. That's the truth. Either as an object, as an array, you're going to use data type very much. Some point when you call the function may return to data type. So you have to test. For example, is a user when you try to get when you try to send username and password to the back end, you first of all check if the user exists. If that does not exist, you return a false data type. Now I've now checked if what's returned is false, just so that credential is wrong. But if it's true, I go for that. Okay, if it's true, it means that the credential is correct. But I will check if the user is verified. If verified is known, for example, let's say I expect you to have the verified column on the database has to have a table. On the database table has to have like a date when you were verified, and it's showing none. I will not check if the user verified is equals to none. It means that the user is not verified. That table is empty. The table exists. Sorry, the column exists, but it is empty. It means that the user is not yet verified. Then I will test if it's equals to none. Yes, you are registered, but you are not verified. So you have to be verified. But if it's not none, it means that you are verified. Then I will now give you the full user object and say, okay, this is the user details. Proceed. You get, so false and null are closely related, but they're not the same. So let me give you an example of where it's closely related. So if there's also called is empty. So if you look at this, it's empty. So it's empty. Okay, sorry, it's empty. Sorry, not is empty. So this empty will give you true for both scenarios. So it will give you true for null, and it will give you true also. So let's see, echo. Yes. Don't worry, if statement, we're going to come into if statement. I'm just trying to show you guys the difference between, because it's very closely related. So if this is empty, it will call yes, it's empty. Then also if this is empty, it's going to be true also. That is true. So the system sees both null and false as empty. But if you want to explicitly test, you now use if it's bool or if it's null, basically, because your data type matters. If you don't test very well, there may be some logical errors. So errors there are three types of errors basically. There's a syntax error. Syntax error is like you made a mistake, like you didn't put a semicolon. That's the syntax error. There's logical error. Logical error is that your code is correct, but your logic is wrong. So let's say, for example, you are testing for empty, whereas you are supposed to test for bool, true, false, or is it created or not created? You get, so, but when we get to Symfony, we'll see how Symfony uses this null. It's very important. Even we will use the null very well. It's very important. Yeah.
All right.
So, but empty sees both as false. But if you want to not test individually, you cannot use if it's bool with that test if it's true or false. If it's null, we'll test if it's null, like it's null. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I'm waiting for questions, please. Yeah, let's ask this. Is it make sense at all? Let's ask, because this is introduction. The next week we're going to go deeper. so that we got this information for us to go deeper. So should I assume that it's clear? Or
Yes, this part makes sense to me.
Okay, it makes sense. I mean, that's fine. Okay. Another person, is it clear for everybody? Alvin, Bell, Franklin, MB, iPhone, is it clear to everybody? Like, are we good?
To an extent, it is. Just for it.
Okay. I think everybody. The programming is not difficult then.